Hi, everybody. Welcome to Munro Live. Today, what we're going to be doing is talking with the CEO of Faraday Future, Carsten Breitfeld. And we're going to be talking today a little bit about his ideas, his plans for Faraday Future and the way forward. But first, I guess, Carsten, could I ask you to maybe give a little background to the folks that are tuning in? A lot of people would probably like to know a lot about your involvement with the BMW and the i8, and just in general. Give us a little background, please.
Thanks, Sandy. Sandy, it's very nice to meet you here. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And yeah, I'm in this industry since 25 years now, and I've basically two lives, if you want. I spent 20 years with BMW. I did almost everything you can do in a car company. I started in chassis engineering. I did the first electric steering system for BMW. I was responsible for the transmission and driveline business at the group. I worked in strategy. And then I was responsible for the BMW i8 program, which was very amazing program, I have to say. It was not only about technology and products. It was about understanding what's going to happen in the future of this industry. And it was something where no one believed at the beginning that this really can be done and can be successful. We have to recap. We were talking about a three-cylinder engine in a BMW sports car combined with an electric powertrain at the front axle, being able to compete with the Porsche Carrera 4S, 911 4S. But at the end of the day, it resulted in a very successful product. Then I left BMW. I co-founded my own electric car company, Byton, out of China, because I felt that the step forward into the future and really change things and make new technology, new products, and new business models happen might be easier if you start from scratch. I ran this company for 3 years as CEO and chairman. Then it got a little bit into these trade frictions between the US and China 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago. And then I eventually decided to join Faraday Future. And the reason that I did it was all the technology and the product ideas and let's say business ideas for the future, which are needed to become a successful player in the electric connected car space, are available at Faraday Future. And so we are going to make it happen now. And I'm personally very passionate about technology. We are developing leading technology at Faraday for propulsion systems and for what we call smart device on wheels, so the smart part of a car, screens, in-car communication.
You know, I mentioned before that it's just amazing to me that we didn't bump into each other at BMW. And now you mentioned Byton, and I went down and made presentations there as well. I can't imagine how come we didn't meet before. So that's kind of interesting about the Byton connection as well. So I think that there's been a lot of press, obviously, about Faraday. Some of it was positive, but a lot of it wasn't. And I think since you're coming on board, things have turned around a bit. And I was wondering if maybe you could give us a little insight as to what you did and how you've changed things over at Faraday.
Okay. So when I joined Faraday 18 months ago, the company had a big vision, and it's a very compelling vision, really understanding where the future will be. But what was missing is breaking down this vision into smaller steps which really can be executed. Having a product in the market, selling it, bring it to your customers, build market share, build a brand. So what we did after I joined is we rebuilt the management team. We brought some people, some top leaders in from the industry who executed before, who have a proven track record, people who are experienced enough, passionate enough to really make things happen and bring the first product into production. Then there was a negative press perception in the media because the company had overpromised and underdelivered before, which is something you should not do. So we stopped to talk about big ideas for the future. We stopped to talk about the past. We were talking about the products and the substance and technology. and this turned around the perception. Then there were some governance issues of the company we had to fix. So we rebuilt the governance of the company, more being compliant with Western style managed companies. So we put everything in place, and then we have been a little bit lucky, I have to say, that Nikola, with their SPAC transaction, got so popular and successful. So the whole SPAC market became very hot. Companies approached us. We found with PSEC a very strong partner. And finally, we were able to announce our merger agreement some weeks ago. And we are moving forward now fast to close this deal. And we will get more than $1 billion of cash out of this deal.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. So, what is the vision then? Your vision then for how you're going to proceed? I know you've got about 300 people right now, which is okay for right now. But what's the next steps, as it were?
So in the near term, we have a product, FF91, which is a top luxury product. It will redefine the top luxury segment of cars with electric and connected cars. So it competes with Maybach, Rolls-Royce, and Bentley in a segment where it will be a real USP. There is no other electric or connected car around in this segment. It's pre-production status right now. It's more than 90% of the tools are ready, and we will launch this within 12 months after we close our deal here. It will be built in California, so we run our own production facility in Hanford and in California, and we will deliver it from here into the US market and all over the world. Now, the strategy is this is a top luxury product. It's a halo product. It's shining. Many people will talk about it. Many people will desire it. Almost no one can afford it because it starts in a very high price position. But it will set the brand. It will define the brand. And Faraday is about great design. It's about leading driving experience. So this car has 1,050 horsepower. It goes from 0 to 60 miles in 2.39 seconds, which is really very fast. But on the other hand, and this makes a difference, it creates an in-car experience for passengers. Like you feel like you sit in a smart device on wheels. So you have high-speed internet connectivity. You have screens. There's a big 27-inch display in the rear. You have the biggest leg room in the rear. It's 49 inch. You have what we call zero gravity seats. So it's like a first class experience, like an experience in a first class of a great airline. So you can incline this seat. You can sleep if you want, and this will completely redesign user experience. And then we go down into lower market segments. So the next car, it's called FF81. Will be in an area where Tesla Model X and S are playing today. And there's a third car in our business plan, FF71, which then will go into the real volume segment starting around $45,000.
Mm-hmm. And when do you expect it to hit the marketplace? I know there's been a lot of expectation. When do you think your first shipments might be?
So our commitment is we are going to launch FF91 within 12 months after our deal closes now, which would be end of Q1 in 2022. And then the next product will go to market 18 months later.
Excellent. Well, I should say that I actually had a ride in the Faraday. And I was blown away by the seats. Mm-hmm. For me, the big experience was if I was a rich guy, this is what I'd want. I mean, the car is going to be self-driving eventually, and yelling or talking quietly or whatever to the computer and saying, "Okay, I want to see how fast this will go." That kind of thing. That to me strikes. And while I'm leaning back, having a martini or something, I mean, it just, to me, everything about that car screams that the guys that are going to be in their 60s or 70s and really want to experience everything, but not really interested in trying to take a chance, because really, as you get older, your reflexes go down. You don't want to die. So to me, everything about that car said that if you've got the cash, this is the one you want to. This is the one you want to go and put in a bid on or get something going on. So can you tell us a little bit about how that's going? Like, what are your pre-orders and things like that?
Yeah, so our intention is we want to redefine what premium and luxury really means. And this is, it's about driving experience. People will still drive, yeah? But the other thing is that every single place in the car, every single seat offers a great experience. And coming back to your example, the good thing is you will be able to decide. You can sit on the driver's seat and you can experience 2.39 seconds from 0 to 60. But if you do not want it, then your son or whoever can drive you and the computer one day, and you can go to the back seats and you can lay down and you can work if you want. You can enjoy a movie. So this will be a complete redesign and redefinition what luxury means. And we have different markets in the world. We have China, and China is the biggest EV market and will continue to be. And as you know, many people in China have drivers, so they sit in the rear. But even here, your children will like it, and you will like it because you can choose whatever the right place in the car is for you. And if you think about the next product, this will be top luxury, and not many people will afford it. But if you think about the next product, the FF81, it will set the same experience, just in a different market segment. It will be, of course, not as luxury as the FF91, but it will still be way better than the competitors when it comes to design, when it comes to driving experience, and for sure when it comes to in-car user experience on the passenger seats.
Well, I can tell you for sure that the inside of the vehicle is spectacular. I absolutely love opera doors. I've always felt that the right thing to do is to get into a car head first instead of butt first. And that extra leg room plus the doors opening opera style or French door style, to me, everything about it seems to scream luxury. This, to me, is what a luxury car should look like. The big thing that I noticed, though, was sitting in the seats, looking out, the panoramic roof, and the windows along the side. There's very, very little that obscures your view. This is the absolute best touring car that I've ever seen. I was very, very impressed.
Thanks for saying that. Maybe, but I should add here, it gives a little bit of insight how we think. We don't call this the interior of our car. We call this place third internet living space. You know, it's a big word. But if you look at, if you analyze the components, it's the third internet space because you are used to have smart devices around you at your home and at your office. The only time where you don't have it is all the hours you spend in this car commuting. I don't know how this is in Detroit here, but in Los Angeles, if I go from my office to downtown and back, it's 3 hours. And most of the time, I'm stuck in traffic. And how great is it if I can make use of this time by doing video conferences, by work, or just by relaxing? So this is third internet. And then it's living space. Yeah? And living space means you have to create a unique customer experience. And all the things you said, light, materials, sensation of premium if you touch your environment. This all contributes to this living experience.
Well, I think that it's your product is akin to what Rolls-Royce had basically at the turn of the 1900s, where very wealthy people were buying these cars, and the loudest noise was the ticking of the clock. I mean, that's kind of and if you've ever been in any of these older vehicles that were restored, inside it's very luxurious. I mean, there's huge open spaces because women had gigantic dresses, hoops and things like that, and it was made so that you could have tea while you were driving from London to the country house or something like that. I think that an age of elegance has been lost for a long time. So looking at your vehicle, that's kind of like what my first thought was. We're moving back in time to an age of elegance with that car. Yes. I'm very, very impressed. And I've seen nothing like it. Zero. Yeah. So I was very impressed.
Well, it's a perfect summary what you are giving. Yeah. So to some degree we are moving back to this kind of luxury and elegance and living style. On the other hand, we combine it with the future. Yeah. It is electric, it's sustainable, it's connected, and this is what will redefine the segment. What will redefine what premium and luxury really means.
Well, to me, it's just an upgrade of luxury. So the olden days, I mean, having a servant make you tea while you're having a ride in the car. I think that's one thing. But nowadays, I don't think many people want to have tea in the car made by somebody else. What they really want to do is have luxury while they're moving from point A to point B. So to me, everything about it was kind of appealing. So why don't we talk a little bit about the technology that gives you this new experience? How much are you developing, and what? Maybe you could talk a little bit about, because most of our listeners are technology focused. So maybe you could talk about the battery system that you have, which is different than everybody else's. A little bit about OTA and that sort of thing.
So it's we at Faraday think if you want to become the leader from a product perspective, if you want to redefine market segments and set standards, then you have to own technology. You have to be technology leader. And so we divide our technology portfolio into two big groups. One is which satisfies the driver, which is the propulsion system. And as you said, this is all about its battery technology, its inverters, its electric motors. And the powertrain technology we developed at Faraday, and it's proprietary and protected by patents, is the most advanced you will find in the industry. This was validated by independent partners. We had Roland Berger coming in just to have an independent assessment on it. So the battery technology is really, it's a fascinating design. What we do is we have a submerged liquid cell cooling approach. So we use the same cells like Tesla is using, 21700 cylindricals, but we submerge these cells into a cooling liquid. So there's no mechanical elements like other companies have around, which allows us to create a very, very high level of energy density. It's the highest level of energy density you can get. You pack the cells very compact. The other thing you get is that the cooling is very, very efficient. So it's basically like if you would jump on a 100 degrees day in a pool of 70 degrees, you will cool down very fast. And this has happened to our cells as well. And this allows us to put energy in and out very fast. So we can charge extremely fast and we can build high performance powertrains on it. This whole technology is developed at Faraday. It's patented and proprietary. Then we have an electric drive unit, which is the electric engine integrated with a small transmission, which is the most compact one you found in the industry. It's highly modular. It has 350 horsepower each. And the interesting thing is you can combine two of these units into 700 or three of them into 1050 horsepower. And you can do nice things. And I have to tell you this here because I'm fascinated about this technology. If you combine two of these engines in the rear axle, you can drive your wheels independently, left side and right side. There's no differential between it. And this means you can implement functions like torque vectoring, which means you can put more torque to the outside wheel than to the inside wheel, which makes the car turn very, very fast and gives a very agile feeling. When I was at BMW, we had this functionality in a BMW X6, but as a mechanical system. So this mechanical system was, of course, very heavy, very expensive, and it was an art of engineering to make this happen. Now, when we move into electric powertrains, we get this functionality for free. We can save all the components, all the weight, all the cost, and get this for free. It's just software, and this is fascinating and shows a little bit the potential of the future.
Yeah. But then, also in your batteries, you have something more like a Lego strategy where you can basically snap together and get an extra 20 kilowatts or something like that out of each one. That to me was very, very interesting.
This is the second unique concept of this battery. Besides the cooling technology, it's modular, but modular in a way that you can add and remove modules. We call them strings out of the battery to change the battery size, without any new validation or cost. So the way it works is, the battery consists of strings, and every string is a battery by its own. So it's 22 kilowatt hours, and all these strings have the same voltage level, and they are all connected in parallel. This means you can add and remove strings, and you can do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different battery sizes. You don't have to touch the BMS, you don't have to touch the cooling system. So coming up with different battery configurations is fast and very cheap. if other battery designs you find in the market today, if they want to change from whatever, from 90 to 75 or from 90 to 120 kilowatt hours, they will have to do a complete redesign of the battery, including all the validation with prototype phases, which is costs money and takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. So I think that the other thing that I'm kind of very curious about is your strategy for the other half of the product. So a lot of what we're talking about will be, in my mind, the mechanical part, yes. So suspensions and things like that. But then you've got the OTA part. Yes. So maybe you could elaborate a little bit on the strategy that you have there.
Yeah, so this is the second part of the technology portfolio. This is all what is connectivity modules, it's in-car communication, it's screens, and it's software. Yeah? The car runs an operating system. We developed an own operating system. This operating system allows multiple users to log in. And based on this operating system, we provide your whole digital ecosystem you're used to. So it's a seamless integration. You can start your Netflix movie if you want at home. You enter your car and you continue to watch it at the same place, at same location where you stopped at home. And there's a lot of details behind it. For example, to connect the car to the internet, you use a little box. It's called a gateway module. And this, and most of the cars having something like this today, most of the cars are using a single modem. If you use a single modem and one provider, at least where I'm living in California, you lose connectivity many times one. So we designed a gateway module with 3 modems in it, and we can run 3 different providers at the same time in this modem, and then blend the signal over. It's all patented. It's sophisticated software technology. So we will be able to assure at every point of time a very stable and high quality network connection, because we will always use the provider who has the strongest signal. It's just a simple example. Huh? And then, of course, a strong over-the-air update technology. This is about what you need, because the concept of the product is very different from a traditional car. And a traditional car would have hardware and software creating a package of functionality, launch this functionality, and then you will sell it for 7 years. In our case, it's more like in a smartphone or a smart device. So we sell a piece of hardware, but the functionality grows over time. So we will continuously send software updates like Apple and every other company is doing, and people are going to look forward for it because they get new functionality. The product is improving over time, which is a different customer experience. It will always be modern and up to date. On the other hand, it needs a very different culture and organization and working style to make this happen. So to that extent, we are more a technology and software company than a car company.
Mm. One of the things that I thought was kind of interesting was when we were talking, you were mentioning about what makes customers happy and what makes them unhappy. And we were talking about the current strategy, which makes customers unhappy when they have to get an upgrade and whatnot, and how Faraday is looking at the happy mode. So maybe you could dive into that a little bit. Yeah,
that's an excellent example. So what car companies are doing today is when they have a problem, for example, a software problem, they will send a letter or email to their customer saying, "Hey, there's a problem with your product. Please find a workshop, make an appointment, bring your car in, and we will fix it for free." Yeah? But the customer will get annoyed. Yeah, first of all, his product has a problem, which he would not expect for a premium product. Then he has to do his appointment. He has to go, or he has to live some time without his car. And then at the end of the day, if everything goes well, he just gets the product back in perfect conditions, which he would have expected right from the beginning. In this new world, this is completely different. If there's an issue, we will fix it by a software update over the air, like every smartphone company is doing. Yeah? Every time I download a new version of iOS or whatever, I get new functionality. I'm very happy, but there's a small disclaimer in the release note saying these are all the problems which were fixed by this update. I'm not very interested in it because I know that it gets fixed. I'm looking forward to the new functionality, and this is what our customers will experience. Yeah? They will not get letters any longer. You have a problem, please go to the workshop. they will wait for new updates and for new functionality. And if there was or were an quality issue, then it will be fixed at the same time. This is a very different style of user interaction and work with your customers and make them happy.
Well, I remember reading about Rolls-Royce again at the turn of the century, and their process for selling and their process for repairing any kind of issues was very unique at that time. If you wanted to have a Rolls-Royce, you wrote a letter to Rolls-Royce explaining why you deserved the car, and you sent a big check. And then, if you should have if you get lucky and they accept your check, then you had a 6-month wait, and then you got your car. And if something went wrong, you didn't take it to a dealership. You would phone Rolls-Royce, and they would send someone out. So either by small plane or what have you. Once you described what the problem was, they probably knew what it was, and they'd fly out. They'd have the parts, make the repairs, make you happy. And they actually, I was told by the guys at Toyota, that's where they got the idea for the Lexus. They would leave a rose on the seat, and that kind of a thing. So these are the types of things that were done in the past. But what you're talking about is the modern way of doing it. I don't know if we can get an OTA rose, but it's hard to say. There may be some little trick or something that says, okay, you were a little bit inconvenienced. Everything's fixed now, and there's a bottle of champagne at the next liquor store for you or something. Who knows? But that kind of stuff, I think, is what needs to be done in order to set the old way of thinking. Set that behind us and look at the new way of thinking, which I believe is what you're focusing on.
It's excellent. It's absolutely the point. So we transform the same concept into the future. And as long as problems can be fixed by software, it will be done this way. And by the way, there's a big advantage. Connected cars, they are transmitting their state always into our system. So if something would go wrong, or if there's a risk that something goes wrong, our systems know this before the customers. You can do things in advance. There is still, if you are very transparent, of course there is still need for physical attendance sometimes. Sometimes it's hardware which breaks down. And we will adapt exactly the same approach. There will be a mobile service, a mobile service for the top customers. So whenever there is an issue, we see it, or the customer tells us, somebody will go out and fix this car immediately. This was not invented by Faraday. Tesla implemented it successfully years ago as a small mobile service. And I have to say, when I was living in Silicon Valley for 2 years, I had a Tesla Model X P100D, an excellent car. I really liked the concept, but I had to make use of this mobile service very, very often.
Oh, really? Oh. Oh, we won't dive into that today. But anyway, I think that anything that will change the perspective of the driving experience, especially for the folks who are paying big bucks and expecting lots of benefits, I think that's kind of what you guys are going to probably have in the way of, like I say, changing the paradigm for automobile ownership and transportation. So I'm pretty sure that you've got a lot of things going in your direction. I was going to ask some of the more mundane types of things as well. So we were just talking to Lindsay Brooke from the SAE, who's interviewed me, and he mentioned something that basically I thought I'd put to bed, but in his words, he said range anxiety. Okay, so I haven't heard that for quite a while, and so maybe we could talk a little bit about what's the range and some of the more basic kinds of things that are going on with the Faraday.
So in the FF91 we are offering 400 miles of range. And this, for my experience, is more than enough for almost everyone in the world. The good thing is this 400 miles of range are available under real user conditions. So some of you might have seen, I drove such a car, a pre-production car last year in January 2020 from Los Angeles to Las Vegas to join CES. We did it with a single charge out of Los Angeles. It was 270 miles drive, if I remember right, and we arrived with 110 miles left. And whoever did it know there are some steep grades going up to it. Yeah. So it has it under real user conditions. And when I was driving my Model X in Silicon Valley, it had only 320 miles or so of range. But I never really used it because I plugged it in my house every night. The few times I went from San Francisco to Los Angeles, I anyway had to charge on the way. Then you use a fast charger, and there's always a Starbucks or something near to it. So you take this 10 minutes or 15 minutes break, take a coffee, charge the rest what you need, and then you have it. So what I foresee is that this race for range will come to an end sometime. I don't foresee that there's really a need for 600 or 700 miles of range. Once you have battery technology and charging infrastructure, which makes it possible to charge fast. And the improvement in battery technology, which is coming maybe soon, will lead to smaller batteries, to lighter batteries, and it will help to save cost and make the products more affordable.
Mm. Well, Corey and I did 8,000 miles in 11 days, and so you're basically driving most of the time. And we really didn't experience range anxiety. Except for once when we were trying to drive too fast to escape a blizzard, and so we had 12 more miles. The car went into limp mode and things like that to make sure that we did get to a supercharger. So I think that I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think in general the ordinary press is always looking for. I think the term is if it bleeds, it reads. They like bad news. They like frightening people and stuff like that. So how could you reassure anyone that Faraday has a product that's built to last and is going to give you nothing but pleasure?
This is an issue if you have always an issue if you have to deal with an heritage. But again, this is all behind us. We reset the company 18 months ago. We have people in who can execute. We proved this product we have right now in numerous test sessions. One of the cars is actually under winter testing conditions here in Michigan right now to really make sure it satisfies all the conditions. So it will go out in 12 months from now. We will find, or we will have some lead customers who really are fans of the brand, who are really appreciate technology and this product, and who will help us to send this message of our brand, our strong brand, out into the world, how fascinating this product is. And it is, I can tell you. I'm driving a pre-production car since, how long? I think almost seven or 8 months now. Not every day, but almost on every week and almost on a day-to-day basis. I do this because I want to use it under real customer conditions. Because, good 95% you reach fast. But excellence means you do the last 5 or the last 2%. And there's a lot of detailed work. There's a lot of quality feedback into the organization to improve things and fit it. And I can tell you from personal experience, it's an amazing experience. So you get used to it fast, and to some degree, you get addicted to it every day a little bit more. So I'm quite sure that this product will convince people just by itself.
Well, when I drove the BMW i3, and not the BMW i3, sorry, when I drove the Tesla Model 3, I made comments quite a bit about it being similar to a BMW 3 Series, 5 Series type of vehicle. I liked the steering and stuff like that. Now, I didn't get a chance. They wouldn't let me drive your car. When they were telling me how fast it would go and whatnot, I think maybe my eye sparkled a little too much, and they said, you can sit in the back. So, and that was probably a wise move on someone's part. But anyway, I didn't get a chance to experience the feel. So what would you say that it's similar to a BMW type of driving experience?
I wouldn't compare it with the 3 Series because it's a more luxurious and bigger car. But it's amazing how good the handling is of the car. And we have, of course, different modes of it. We have a mode for the driver, a sports mode. It's a huge vehicle. It's heavy, because it has a battery, but it still feels light in handling. And the reason is that, as you know, the genes, electric cars have perfect genes for well-handling vehicles, because it's all about center of gravity, and the center of gravity is very low because the battery sits very, 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 very low and very deep in the car. So it handles very well, and it's a very cool driving experience. While you are sitting on the rear seat, you not necessarily want this kind of experience. You don't want to experience the whole acceleration, and this is why there is a comfort mode as well. If you want to drive someone else and you want to enjoy the rear seat, you better put it into the comfort mode, and you will enjoy all the luxury and comfort.
Well, actually, I didn't get the comfort right. They heard that Corey and I used to race, and so they impressed the daylights out of us. Yes, and so I guess I got the sports kind of. But even in the sports mode, I really enjoyed the drive. To me, one of the worst drives we've ever had, and it wasn't even supposed to be a sport mode, was when we were comparing trucks, and I was trying to drive this thing so that we'd have comparisons between the 3 trucks that we were analyzing, and poor Corey was in the back being thrown about. He was supposed to be doing the filming, and when we got done, he said, I have to have a moment, bend over and breathe deeply. I mean, I didn't experience anything like that. When we were sitting in the zero-gravity seats, I felt about as safe as you could possibly be. And even though we were whipping around the corners and stuff like that, to me, it made me feel like confident. It was nimble, but I felt confident. Yeah.
No, it's an amazing driving experience, without any doubt. And you know, the figure is saying 2.39 seconds from 0 to 60 miles. As you know, this is close to the physical limit in an all-wheel drive car. But if it is an electric car, it even feels more dynamic, because it's but people didn't realize before, but they are realizing right now that the torque build up is so instantly that the feeling of acceleration is even greater than if you would do something like this in a combustion engine car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the only thing that I think ICE has gotten, and many people know this already, I was an engine engineer, but I think that the only deal that I can think of now that people would have for the ICE is it makes a lot more noise. So I think that eventually someone is going to make noise inside of a fast car, just so those people will buy. But anyway, I'd like to also talk about. We've talked about the manual driving. Maybe we could move into self-driving. Mm-hmm. Where are you with respect to that? I was very, very impressed with what Tesla had, and I know you're developing your own. Maybe you could elaborate a bit.
So my view on self-driving is that we have to be careful and a little bit conservative. And I divide the world in driver assistance systems, which is what we have right now, and then in real autonomous driving maybe in the future. We are going to launch FF91 with a system which is close to a level 3 system. It's let's call it 2+. It has level 3 functionality. You will have self-parking, you will have highway assistant, all these things. And this supports the driver a lot. But it's very important to communicate that this is not autonomous driving. It is not. And it can be dangerous for people to rely completely on it. Yeah? This is why we require people to touch the steering wheel sometimes and to pay attention. It is assistance. This is developed by ourselves. We have we have partnerships with NVIDIA, and I think we have very compelling and competitive functionality. Now, when it comes to the next step, the real level 4 or maybe sometimes level 5 autonomy, and things are very different from my view, because what I expect to happen that this will become a certain kind of commodity. because it will be a highly regulated technology. For me, it does not make sense for a car company or for a company like us to really develop the software stack for this technology, because there are companies out who are doing it. And this is many years. It is billions of dollars. It's millions and tens of millions of kilometers you have to do. And it will be so highly regulated at the end of the day that the autonomous driving by itself from the functionality will not make a difference. What I expect to happen is there will be several companies delivering these software stacks, maybe 2 in the US, 2 in China, and 1 in Europe, who knows? This will be it. Yeah, and from a product perspective, you will have to make sure that you have the right hardware technology, that you have the right sensors in place. And this is about the question: are you going to have LiDAR or not? And integrate these sensors into your car in a way that they really work under conditions, that they can deal with pollution and all these things, and that you integrate them nicely into a design. Yeah, this sounds easy, but this is not an easy task, because the sensors always want to be in positions where you don't want them from a styling perspective. Right. So this will be our way forward. And for me, the real differentiation comes: what kind of user experience are you creating when you have autonomous driving? It's not the system by itself, but if your car drives by itself, what is the experience you can offer to your users? And this will be about the experience in the other seats. This will be about space. It will be about comfort, and it will be about your digital experience.
Well, I'm very, very upbeat on several different areas. So I'm just kind of curious. Let's shift gears a bit from Faraday. What other technologies do you think might be coming down the pike that people should watch?
For cars?
For electric vehicles. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that if you look on the long term, then the pure mechanical part of the car, what is structure, what is chassis right now, and I think including the powertrain, this will become more and more commodity. It will last longer than it did in the past, because there's no vibration, and you don't need the brakes as often as you did in the past. So it will last longer, and we might even use this technology for more than one generation of cars. And powertrain, there is a differentiation right now. This will stay to some degree, but it will all come closer, because there are physical limits. The real differentiation will be the user experience in your car. And the innovation cycles of screens, of microprocessors, and of software is, of course, much faster than the hardware. So what we will see is that the hardware base stays for 1, 2, maybe one day for 3 generations of cars, but that we will see much faster update cycles for the electronic components. And we will have to offer a real update, even of hardware parts in the car. Yeah, you can bring your car to the workshop, and the hardware is updated to the newest generation. And the fastest cycle will be the software update, like we said before. Yeah? The functionality will grow over time continuously, and every 2 months or 3 months or whatever we decide at the end of the day, we will have this upgrade. So the technology we will have to look at is it's about having the fastest and latest microprocessors, the best, fastest, and brightest screens, and having a process in place that we can always offer the latest functionality in the easiest way to use in the car, fast and stable over the air. So this is basically the technology portfolio what I foresee for cars for the next decade or so. And if your question is more to general into transportation, then I think what we see right now that some of the traffic is going away from Earth and moving a little bit more into sky, and that we see maybe individual transportation based on bigger drones, or however you would call this concept. This is an interesting development as well. And if you talk about autonomous driving or autonomous moving, then it is way easier to implement in the air, as you know, as it is on the earth. So we might see these kind of things as well.
Would Faraday be moving into that?
I would say never say no, but in my introduction, I said the problem of the company at the beginning was that there was always a vision, but the implementation of concrete steps was not in place. Yeah? So I'm here to bring the first product into production, which will happen in 12 months, to execute our business plan for the next years, and we will see what's going to happen in the future.
Well, focus is the number one thing that I talk to our customers about. Because unfortunately, everybody gets excited and wants to move off in different directions all the time.
Yes.
So I think that from an investment standpoint, I like to hear whoever's in charge say that they've got a laser beam focus and this is what we're going to be producing. But I did want to also hear what you had to say about what you think the future is. I also think that VTOLS, they're called, and I've been a big fan of that for quite some time. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of that happen because, like I say, the 3-hour drive that you got in LA in a VTOL might take 15 minutes. So that kind of stuff would make a big difference to some of the more congested areas of the world. And quite frankly, I think that anybody that's going to get into a VTOL is going to be in a luxury market. It's not going to be the George Jetson getting in and it isn't going to be quite like that. It's going to be something that's going to be pretty expensive and not available for everyone. So I just thought maybe you might be thinking that down the future. So, and speaking of future, I know that you're getting into the next round of funding, and I also know that quite a number of quite a number of the people that watch Munro Live are in the financial world. So maybe you could elaborate a little bit on what's going on at Faraday in the near term for fundraising and things like that.
Yeah, so we just completed, so we are in the middle of a SPAC transaction, of a SPAC merger transaction, which we announced 6 weeks ago or so with SPAC. We completed our PIPE fundraising. Very happy to disclose here that the PIPE was oversubscribed, and so we got an overall funding of $1 billion in, or we will get an overall funding of $1 billion into the company, which will put us in a very strong position right now to execute our business plan, to safely launch the first car and to prepare the launch of the second one. This, of course, makes us very happy, and I think it's a big success, and it shows once again things can be done. Because when I'm joking sometimes a little bit when people ask me why are you doing things, why did you take over this job at Faraday, and then I'm joking a little bit saying I like challenges, and I like to do things where other people say it's not possible. and when I did this, there were people saying, "Hey, there is no chance to make it happen." And it's 18 months. It was 18 months ago, and now we are here, and we all worked very hard. This is a team effort. Yeah, there's many people involved, and many passionate people, and many people who went through very difficult times with the company. We had to reduce salaries to minimum wage and all these things for all of us. Yeah? But there's this passion, this will to succeed and make things happen. And if you don't give up, if you however difficult it is, if you always look forward and say what is the next step, what does it take right now to survive and to move forward, then you can get things done. This is something which personally fascinates me. I had different examples in my life where I did these kind of things, and I'm very happy that we all together made it to this point now.
Well, I'm very happy that you managed to make it out here. I'm happy that you came to watch some cold weather testing, and I got a chance to talk with you about the future of Faraday. And I'd really like to thank you for appearing here on Munro Live. So I'm going to sign off right now, and I'd just like to remind everyone that the cashiers are still out there risking all, so you can buy a can of beans, I should say. Please go out there and give those folks a tip or whatever the change is or something like that, to let them know that you appreciate their efforts. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.